Hi and welcome to the Homeopathy Health Show. I'm Atiq Ahmed Bhatti, a fourth generation homeopath with over 25 years of professional experience and practice in this field of healing. The Homeopathy Health Show is the online voice of homeopathy around the world, promoting and raising awareness of this truly unique system of healing, which is suitable for all ages, young and old. Every week I invite guests from the world of homeopathy to come and share their experiences, their work, offer insights, and essentially talk all things homeopathy. Why not visit www.liketreatslike.co.uk and click on the radio and podcast button to listen to the latest episodes. So let's begin today's show here on UK Health Radio, the world's #1 talk health radio. Hi and welcome to another episode of the Homeopathy Health Show here on UK Health Radio. I do hope you're well and I hope you've had a pleasant week. Now I'm absolutely delighted to welcome my guests on today's episode, namely Lisa Rooney and Kelly Harrigan. Lisa is a life coach, healer and homeopathic educator from Atlanta in the United States, and Kelly is a practical homeopath and certified health and wellness coach from Nashville in Tennessee. They have an absolutely delightful backstory, which I will leave them to share with us. So without further ado, Lisa, Kelly, wonderful to have you on the podcast today. Thank you so very much for joining me all the way from the US.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Atiq. We're thrilled to be here.
It's going to be epic. Now, interestingly enough, in 2008, that's when your paths crossed at the Holistic Moms Network, which is an event which was held in Illinois in the US. And it has resulted in a lifelong friendship. So do share what transpired over the course of that event.
Kelly, you want to?
Sure. Lisa and I were both living outside of Chicago in 2008. And she was running the local Holistic Moms Network. It's actually a network that's international. She had spearheaded that group in that area. So she was bringing in monthly speakers. I was new to the area, and I really wanted to find like-minded women who were holistically raising their kids. And so we met at the first event that I walked into that summer of 2008, and we became very fast friends because we were aligned in so many different ways. And we lived in Illinois for about 2 years together and then kind of moved all over the US. And now I live in Nashville and she lives in Atlanta. So we're a little bit closer now to each other, not in the same city, but it was a great start.
How far are you geographically?
It's about 5 hours drive.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And you have the option to fly, I hope?
Yes.
We do. Yeah.
Sometimes, by the time you check in and you get through customs and everything else, it probably takes 5 hours anyway, doesn't it?
Right, exactly.
May as well end up driving.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I actually have a daughter that is going to school in Nashville, so it's a bonus for me when I get to go to Nashville.
Oh, wonderful. That's so nice. So what's the journey to homeopathy for both of yourselves? How did you get interested in this? Was this just, was it a career change or was it something that happened organically?
Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay. Yeah. So my journey to homeopathy really started with, as many people do, health challenges of my own. I was in my mid-20s. I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome and chronic candida. And really in a bad way. I was not in a good place. At my worst, I think I was sleeping about 17 hours a day. None of the healthcare providers that I was seeing at that time, which was very conventional healthcare, had any idea what was going on with me. They just thought, I had the flu, I was depressed, I was, all of these things that were, going on. And I think at that time, I remember a doctor saying, getting like his desk reference book, and there was a paragraph, like 4 sentences that talked about chronic fatigue syndrome. And so that's all that was known. Through talking to people and just, really researching and trying to figure out how to heal, I found a doctor on the outskirts of town And he was the first person that introduced me to holistic living, holistic healing, supplementation, chiropractic care, herbs, vitamins, food, everything. And that's really kind of what started my journey into natural living. So that was pre getting married, pre having children. Within about 2 weeks of starting on his protocol, I had regained about 80% of my energy. It took me another couple of years to really come back into my own, but and I was amazed at the power of just some of those shifts, the herbs, the dietary shifts, things of that nature. And it really opened up this whole exploration for me. And I've always been kind of curious by nature, a little bit of lifelong learning, and always wanting to dive in and know more. So when I got married and then had my kids, it just didn't make sense to me. As I went to the pediatrician, it didn't make sense to me to do all the things that the pediatrician said I needed to do, in terms of just the original initial inoculations, how I needed to feed my children, what I needed to do when they had ear infections, so on and so forth. And that was really when homeopathy kind of came into my sphere. I think it was Hyland's teething tabs actually was probably the first homeopathic remedy that I used. And, at that time it was very classical. I bought my first kit, which I still have today, Washington Homeopathic Top 30, 50, 30C kit. But I didn't know how to use it. And there wasn't a lot of education. There wasn't a lot of help. There was only one homeopath in my town. We didn't have access to all these groups that we have now. That was 20 years ago. And so it was a lot of misses, a handful of hits, a lot of misses. Homeopathy stayed kind of on the peripheral for a long time until around 2015, when I found Joette Calabrese and her study groups and her methodologies. And that's really, after studying her methodologies, that's really what elevated homeopathy to the primary medicine of my home. And it is now the primary medicine that I use. I really, I still use some herbals, I still use some supplements, but that is the primary medicine. And I have now launched my children to college, and they both went to college with their homeopathic kits that they're both very capable of using, because it really integrated into our home and elevated, to the primary medicine. So that's my journey into homeopathy.
How wonderful indeed. As you were saying that, I was just thinking that recently I had a young boy around, he's 10, I think, 10 or 11. And he had such a bad pain that all he could do was just cry out, because he was bent forward and he couldn't straighten his back. It was not a slip disc. It was not sciatica, which, as a result of the slip disc, pinched nerve and so forth. And he had all the tests done and they could find nothing. So as a homeopath, you take the case, and it was here. It was a mental and emotional imbalance. Now, as strange as it may sound for some listeners, perhaps, by giving him some key remedies, he was fine after 2 weeks. Now, isn't that just absolutely incredible? I mean, I just find it being in living, breathing homeopathy, just like yourselves, but how incredible it can become, that it can be life-changing. You can have as many tests as you want, but sometimes you have to look from a third-person perspective, or certainly outside of the conventional box.
Yes.
And here was a child who probably would have carried on suffering and suffering because there was no cause to this effect. But through homeopathy, we found the cause, and the cause was an mental emotional balance because of something that occurred. Mm-hmm. And how amazing that, he had a straight back. So I find your journey fascinating, because so many homeopaths come into the field as a result of personal experience. And that is what you call life-changing, right? Because once you're hooked, you're hooked.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So what about you, Kelly? How's your journey to homeopathy? What does it look like? I mean, do share.
Yeah, so very similar to Lisa's actually. I have to thank my oldest, who's almost 22. He was a terrible teether as well. So my first product was the Highlands teething tablets as well. And so my first kit was the Highlands kit. And I just knew there were intuitively, I just knew there was a better way than infant Motrin, infant Tylenol. I wanted something different.
Hmm.
Tried it, and it did a 180 on him. He became not as irascible. He was calm. He was sleeping. He wasn't in pain. And so we actually termed them his happy pills. And so it kind of even sparked the grandparent generation, when they saw the transformation happen in my oldest, to kind of take another look at homeopathy or just get intrigued as well. So that actually kind of was the catapult launching me into my own health challenges. I suffered years with menorrhagia, which is heavy menses. And so I too went to a classical homeopath. I had a little bit more misses than hits because it just wasn't going for the obstacles to cure. It wasn't looking at the mental emotionals, which I believe was really kind of the foundation of why I was having that symptom. And so then in 2015, Lisa mentioned Joette Calabrese to me and said, have you ever heard of her? Lisa and I had actually trained under a classical homeopath when we lived in Naperville, and she had study groups, and it was fascinating. And but like Lisa said, there was not a lot of education out there, like how to use these. Yeah, these are great, beautiful bottles, but how do we actually put them into practice in our own lives? So then we teamed up in 2016 and said, we have got to get this out to mothers, grandmothers, aunts, fathers as well. And so we teamed up and started teaching classes in 2017 to empower women. Really, I mean, we've had a handful of men come. We would love more men, but most women come into our classes because we now feel so empowered to be able to help your child when they're in misery with fevers, croup, whatever it is, with a medicine that doesn't have side effects, right? And that can actually uproot the condition, not suppress. It's so empowering as a mother, and it's transformational. And, you're not dealing with then suppression 20, 30, 40 years later as an adult. So, Lisa and I always taught, we always end our classes saying, we wish we would have known, but now we know better, and you can do better now. And we wish our mothers would have known what we know now. And this is why we are so passionate about education and really getting it out to the public.
Do tell me about Joette Calabrese's gateway to homeopathy and how you found out about that and what it entails, what it comprises of, and that journey itself.
Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, so I think it was a girlfriend of mine who just happened to mention her, and I went on and looked at what she had going on, and she had some study groups, and so I joined a study group. And the way that she had kind of constructed her curriculum was sort of a combination of really understanding remedies kind of more from a classical perspective, but then she also layered in the Banerjee protocols. And that is when homeopathy just started to make sense to me. I was like, oh my goodness, now I understand. And I think through that, I started to develop literally a relationship with some of the remedies. You mentioned Ignatia. Kelly and I oftentimes call her one of our best girlfriends.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And when I started to put the Banerjee protocols into practice, it just made it very easy. And it was really for me, and I'll let Kelly talk, for her journey, but for me, it was kind of a launching point. That was what enabled me to elevate homeopathy to the primary medicine in my home, because we kind of had the recipes. That's one of the benefits to the Banerjee protocols is they give you the recipes. If you've got a cold coming on, you take this. If you've had a mental emotional shock, you take this. And I think from the standpoint of mothers, caregivers who really don't want to spend a lot of time studying homeopathy, they just want to be proficient in their home. That is where the Banerjee protocols shine. They open up, I call them a gateway. I mean, that's probably why Joette named it the gateway to homeopathy, because they really do open the door And they create that confidence for moms. Oh, when I use this, it works. And we consistently see people come in through the Banerjee protocols, and then they're hungry for more. And so then the whole world of homeopathy opens up, and they're looking at all the different methods and what can I do and how can I learn more. And that's when they find their way to Homeopathy Haven.
Yeah, and I think that kind of catapulted Lisa and I to be hungry for more information too. So then we thought, well, this is a great tool and part of our tool belt, but we need multiple tools. So let's get some training from the late Dr. Robin Murphy, see what his vision, how he handles clients, how he teaches. So we both got certifications from him. And then, I kind of went over to Christina Villacorta and did her dosing mastery to kind of understand, okay, she actually worked with the Banerjee protocols as well, but in a different way than Joette. So let's understand her methodology to cases and teaching. And same with Namisha Parakath, who also did work with the Banerjees right alongside like Joette did. So kind of understand, her methodology too. And then Joette actually launched her Academy for Practical Homeopathy. I graduated from there in 2022. And then Lisa and I both joined the College of Practical Homeopathy in 2023, because again, we needed more layers, more methodology to be able to offer our students, offer our clients. We've also taken some training on megapotencies from Jill Turland, because I think in Western society, we have so much toxicity, right? And, so many layers of our food sources, our lack of sleep, our, EMFs, it's all the pharmaceuticals that have been kind of, layered on us since we were, born into the world.
It's interesting, isn't it? Actually, firstly, I must congratulate you because you're very fortunate to have studied with Dr. Robin Murphy. I mean, absolute wizard. I use his Nature's Materia Medica. I've got it on my shelf. I know I can see, Kelly, you've got them as well in the back. And, that was a very special homeopath indeed, and I only wish that the podcast was around at that time, just before he passed, because it would have been such an honor to have someone like him on to share his insights. And we're not talking 1 hour, we're talking several hours at least, just to get a glimpse, And also I heard from many homeopaths that he's a very humble person, wasn't he? Very straightforward,
Very.
And that actually makes the best homeopaths as well. I've seen homeopaths are just down to earth, and they have a focus, and the focus is patients.
Yes.
Heal the patients, and they become the best homeopaths, because, your focus is absolutely what Hahnemann wanted as well. Focus on the patient. Come what may, the ultimate result is do no harm to the patient, but give him the most gentlest remedy, to give him, to bring him back or bring her back, from despair, because illness is despair, isn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as Kelly and I were working, with our students and then working with our clients, we realized that there are so many layers, like Kelly said, there's many, many layers. And, not one of us can possibly have all the answers.
Right.
And so, that's part of what kind of fuels Kelly and I is like, okay, here we are. If we don't have it in our toolbox, then we're going to go find it, because our goal is to walk alongside our clients and our students in their healing journey, because they're the ones that are healing. Right. It's their journey. And, if we are lucky enough to come alongside them, if they allow us to come alongside them, that's a real gift. And we look for, what are the tools that we need to help them, to come alongside them in their healing journey.
I should call you the dynamic duo.
I love it.
And that's what I'm going to refer to you when the podcast goes out. That's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it the dynamic duo.
Oh, we're honored with that. Love it.
It is interesting, isn't it, that you mention about different protocols and methodologies within this huge umbrella of homeopathy, and it continues to expand and grow, which is actually testament to its efficacy testament to it being a future-proof system of healthcare. Absolutely. You know, it's interesting how our Arsenicum album 200 plus years ago is still the same signature of our Arsenicum album, and it works just as profoundly as it ever did. And it's even more incredible that remedies like Ignatia or a met, which is gold, literally, and Ignatia, which is a bean, and remedies like Natmure, Natramure, 200 years ago they were used. And now in the modern connected world, oh my, how are they needed now for mental and emotional well-being, wellness, and just feeling normal.
Yeah.
How amazing, right? 200 years. I mean, does anything last that long? And yet we're just tapping into some of the marvels of these remedies, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing.
I just find that fascinating. And we are living in, I mean, I think the work that both of you are doing is absolutely incredible, which we're going to talk about now, which is to do with the teaching and empowering mothers with homeopathy. So please do share. It's such an important thing, such an important service to humanity, should I say, that both of you are doing, because you may not know it, but from where I'm sitting, I just see generations. Let's say you've explained homeopathy to a mother and she's using it. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. Generations will be using homeopathy in that family. And that is what you call life-changing, right? So hats off to both of you. Although I haven't got a hat on. I've got headphones, but and I can't take them off at the moment.
That's all right. Yeah, so we teamed up in 2017 and started teaching the gateway classes. And then we just said, we've got to do more. And our students kept coming back because they like our style of teaching. Lisa and I are both visual learners, so we do a lot of visual presentations and we weave in different videos and all of that. So they liked that. They wanted more. So we thought, okay, we need more tools, like we just shared. So we kept, satiated with different methodologies that we were learning. And we would bring those to our groups, to our classes. And we started teaching Joette's advanced study groups. Then we actually created what is now our membership, but it used to be called Gateway Connection. And we've been teaching that since 2019, where we gather monthly and we actually do a mini lesson on a variety of topics. We've covered everything from UTIs to sleep to miasms to homeoprophylaxis, kind of everything and anything in between. Gemotherapy, batch flower essences, the Australian bush flower essences. And so we've kind of collected a group called our membership, and we have 2 levels. And it's just been a lovely group of like-minded women that get together, and we're all on the same page. We all want to be helpful to our family, friends, and then if we want to continue it on to clients.
What's the obstacle to cure? Is it a trauma? Is it, thoughts? Is it toxicity? Is it a combination of all of it, which it oftentimes is? And how do we remove that obstacle to cure so that then the patient, the vital force, has a way to go, oh, okay, now I know what to do. And then we come alongside it with remedies or flower essences, or sometimes it's just coaching, that we're doing. Listening, helping them come up with other ways in which they can process their traumas or their thoughts or, what else is going on with them.
I like the way you said that about the vital force, where it says, I know what to do now. Yeah. That's so true, isn't it? Because we're all, myself included, we're all so charged, aren't we, with trials and tribulations and happy days and sad days and down days and testing days and manic days and life is not how it used to be. I mean, I love the 80s. Okay, I grew up in the 80s. I think everything about the 80s was brilliant, including the music, right? Which you probably know from my Instagram reels. Mostly, I concentrate on the 80s, right? It's the best music anyway, right?
Yes.
Come on. Yeah.
We agree.
Maybe some of the 70s, maybe just sort of a few years. Okay. Well, just to keep everyone happy.
Yeah.
I'll mention Pink Floyd. Okay. Yeah. For those who like Pink Floyd. But it was, the times were so different, and now we're so challenged, aren't we? I mean, for example, just recording this, I'm surrounded by electronic equipment, and I know that's not good for me. Of course we do. So it's hard, isn't it, to sort of desensitize oneself, because that also raises cortisol levels, because it's stress, isn't it? If everything vibrates at a frequency, then of course there's going to be certain equipment that you may end up resonating with, whether you like it or not, right? It's just the way that it is. And life has become so complicated for so many people, and they're always on the run. They call it the rat race. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
So it's very much, get up in the morning, come back, and you're just exhausted after work, and it's a long day, and there's no time for me, as in, who am I? What is my purpose? What am I about? What are my strengths, and what are my weaknesses, and what do I want to achieve in life? It's done, but it's done in such a rush that it doesn't even register. And it's so important, isn't it, to take that time away and to reflect and to think. But if your body is overloaded, it's very challenging to even get to that stage, right?
Right. And we often share with our clients that we truly, if there's all these obstacles to cure, which are kind of the onion layers, and you're kind of sharing your symptoms, we don't even know if the symptoms are from the obstacle to cure, right? We don't know what your true symptoms are until we kind of unravel that, pull that back. And the vital force, like Lisa said, may just lockstep again and say, we're not going to show you the symptom anymore. And I want to piggyback on what you said, Atik. I think oftentimes when people come to homeopaths, it's the last ditch effort, right? They've exhausted every other type of modality. So they're so weary, they're so fatigued, and so they're just exhausted. And so oftentimes we have to have extra patience, right? Because they want a quick fix. They want it just to give me the pellets, just tell me what to do. And next month I want to be better. And we have to set expectations that, there's no straight uphill linear path to healing. We wish we could have that, right? I wish I could give them one little tiny sugar pill and everything would go back to, strength and vitality. But so that's, I think, an extra step. And then secondly, about the adrenals, I think Lisa and I, in every client that we see, that is the biggest organ that we need support. And we share with our clients that, we're not cave men and women running away from wild animals, but somebody pulls out in front of us on the freeway. We get late going to work and we're sweaty and stressed, and we miss the alarm to catch our flight. So the adrenals are probably, one of the smallest little organs, but they affect so much of our health.
That's very beautifully put. I 100% agree with you.
And to piggyback on what Kelly just said.
That's 3 piggybacks, by the way.
Yeah, right. We'll piggyback a lot. This is going to remind me of Inception soon. I'm not going to know which one we started with. I think what we also don't realize, as humans, is the amount of input that we're getting. The social media, the news. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got a thought. Everybody has an agenda for what they want, where they want you to spend your mental and physical energy, your money, everything. And all of those, we can look at big T's, big traumas, big stressors, the car accident, somebody pulls out in front of you, you're late for work, you're worried about money. But there's also a lot of little T's that are happening. So we're living in a society where we have low-level chronic stress all the time. And that taxes the adrenals as much as any big trauma or any big stressor does as well. And so that is a huge focus of mine and Kelly's in our practice.
Yeah.
Which actually leads me onto something very beautiful that you've written in in the bio that you sent me, which is that, and I quote, Lisa and Kelly, we're talking post 2016 here, Lisa and Kelly quickly expanded their expertise, focusing on providing courage and hope to mothers through easily accessible homeopathic methods. I find that so beautiful indeed, and it's so true, to give hope. I mean, it's so important nowadays, and to give courage. Yes. I mean, as a homeopath, I get it. I know exactly what you mean. And it's so important, isn't it? And like we were just having this conversation a few minutes ago about changing lives for generations. But someone has to take that step, right? That initial step. And sometimes it's full of fear. I mean, do share your examples and where you are now, because I know you've taught thousands of students around the world, and given them a new lease of life, I guess.
And what homeopathy has done for my life, I'll let Lisa speak too, is it's taken that fear and put it to the side, put it in the corner. And really, we share with our students the empowerment that you feel, that get to know your remedies, get to know their purposes, what they can do, and then experiment, try, use them to get that confidence to say, wow, I can treat pneumonia. I can, help conjunctivitis. I can help my ear infection. We had a student in our membership this morning who shared that she actually was trying to get advice from our group saying, this is an ear infection. What do I do? I tried all these other things. And she actually, through talking it out, came up with pulsatilla. And she decided, okay, what potency? But then she came up with the potency, and the child slept through the night last night for the first time in 3 weeks. So it's just that transformational. I'll let Lisa chime in too.
Yeah, well, I wanted to, when you talked about the generational thing, and this is something that I am so excited about. This is part of what drives me, and what Kelly and I do in our membership program, in our classes. We spent a lot of time peeling off the layers of fear as we were transitioning to this system of medicine. So we take extra time and extra care because we know where moms have been, because we've been there, and really help to streamline these are the things that you do. You don't have to fumble around like Kelly and I did. This is what works. This is what we do. And really giving our students kind of the ability to kind of streamline that so that they can hopefully peel those layers of fear off a little bit sooner. So, and we stand in testament, like, this is what we did, and this is what worked, and this is where we're at now. And to bring it kind of sort of full circle with that generation, between the two of us, we have 5 children. 4 of them are in college, and one, Kelly's, is still in high school. We have launched all of our children off with homeopathic kits. My daughter, who is there in Nashville, has handled a COVID exposure. She's handled crappy cafeteria food. She's handled test anxiety. She's handled colds and flus, all of it really, with some text messages and some phone calls to me, but really all of it on her own. And that I think is what I want. That's how we change the generations. And she recently said to me over the summer, Mom, when I have my kids, I want them raised on homeopathy. I want natural birth. I want a garden. I want all of those things that you did as you were raising me. That's what I want. And so she's already, and she's 20, she's not near getting married or anything like that, but she's already thinking that way. It's already it's integrated in. She wouldn't consider going to the Walgreens to get an over-the-counter thing. She goes to her kit.
Yeah.
And that's what we want. And it's doable. Yeah. It's doable.
Very much.
I've had this conversation many times, and we'll have it again, that generally when somebody gets sick at home, let's just say it's an ear infection, the first thing for parents usually is panic, and then fear, and then there's various options. So you run to the pharmacy, or you call emergency services, or you go to A&E, and it's so much time, it's so much anxiety, it's so much fear of the unknown at that time. And yet, if you have that, if you're a home prescriber and you've been introduced to homeopathy, after a few times, there is no fear. If a child is crying and they have earache, so many remedies just immediately pop up, don't they? Pulsatilla, chamomilla, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And you give whatever dosage it is, whatever, suits your child, and hey presto.
Yeah.
And it's gone. So you've removed not only time, anxiety,
Yes.
fear, worry, stress on your adrenals, right? On the kidneys themselves, let's say. But also everything else that accompanies that. And I think, what you're doing is so, so important. Again, I'll say it because it starts with the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so beautiful because like you've just given that example of your children, and, it's like that everywhere where families have started to use homeopathy, and it goes down to the children. And of course, through the generations, again, we go to that. But it's wonderful, isn't it? Because then it removes so much fear, and disease is not something to be afraid of. It's a process,
Right.
and we just have to say, oh, I've got this. Okay, let me deal with it. So let me have a think which remedies. The answers are there, right?
Right, exactly. And we always share with our students, these pellets and this medicine is amazing, but this is just the catapult to then give that information to the body. The body's actually doing the healing, which is even more remarkable, right? And the body's actually taking that knowledge, that communication, and saying, okay, I've got strep throat. I know what to do. And so that's what's, remarkable.
Behind you, I'm not sure on the third shelf, but it looks like an Aladdin's lamp. I'm quite sure it's not. Is it an Aladdin's lamp?
No, on the third shelf, it's a duck. It's a duck from Finland.
That was embarrassing, wasn't it? Okay. Okay, I'm not going to edit that out. For the listeners, I'm not editing it out, but it's obviously we are on Zoom, so I can just about see it. But from afar, it does look like an Aladdin's lamp, eh?
I'd love to.
It's water off a duck's back.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me about Homeopathy Haven. One, a beautiful name, of course. And I think from what I know about both of you, it is indeed a haven of well-being, of wellness, of vitality, and of everything good. So do tell us more about the work that you're involved with Homeopathy Haven, and also how it's going as far as, teaching students and the progress.
Kelly?
So, we started teaching in 2017 and then quickly just expanded. And now we've taught, thousands of mainly women in our classes, and we've expanded kind of our reach. So we teach all levels. So all levels are welcome. We've had moms who, have joined our classes who are brand new to homeopathy. And again, they wish they would have known all of this, and now their kids are all out of the house. But we always encourage them and say, but now you know better, you can do better. So now you've got your adult kids that you can, help educate with homeopathy, and then potential grandchildren, great-grandchildren, all of that, pets, right? So we have been working together for a long time, and it's been great, and it's interesting, we both got messages when we went into partnership together. Don't go into partnership with one of your dear friends because it can have its challenges, right? And, we've certainly had a handful, but, we both kind of put any egos aside and, bring in the humility and say, at least I'm not talking friend to friend here. Let's talk in, business terms, and I'm putting on my business hat. Because we want to maintain the dear friendship, but we also love what we're doing. We're so passionate about, what we're teaching, what we're building, what we're growing, and then helping with our clients as well, because we see clients as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, our vision is to really become kind of just that haven, that when we went back and forth, I think we pinged back and forth for weeks trying to come up with the right name, and that's where we landed. But our vision is to really, for Homeopathy Haven, to become that haven where moms, grandmothers, even, health providers, we've had nurses, we've had other homeopaths come to our groups.
Yeah.
We've had dentists, we've had chiropractors who come in and they've studied with us. That's kind of our vision, is to really become that place where people go to find and connect with this amazing medicine. Yeah.
And you have taught, of course, like I've said, thousands of students, but how do you do that? Is that online, or is it, do you actually meet as well in groups where you can?
Yeah, we actually teach all of our classes via Zoom. And we've also have a number of recorded classes that are our own class creation or course creation that we have done over the years. And then we have a learning platform on Kajabi where we have our membership program. So there's 2 levels. There's the basic and then there's the VIP, which can be found on our website, all the details.
We also offer strategy sessions. So we call them strategy sessions. These are our homeopathic consults. Again, because our focus is coming alongside of our clients. And so we're working on the strategy. How do they heal? What are the tools that they need to affect healing and change within their life? And that's really where we layer in a lot of, all of the different modalities that we use, all of the different coaching, the health coaching. We're kind of working top to bottom, all the way through their lives and what's going on with them when we work alongside them from a consulting standpoint.
And with the successes that you're having, of course, in this service to humanity, what's your insight as far as the progress or awareness of mothers in the US using homeopathy? As far as I'm aware, speaking to Dr. Laurie Grossman and there's Krista Rive up in Buffalo as well, and some others, it is on the uptake, isn't it? Exponentially, where more and more people are now really looking at this very seriously as a system that can help them for their well-being.
Yeah, I think there's a real thirst. I really do. And I think, despite all the pitfalls of the last 3 or 4 years, I think it actually opened a lot of doors too, because people were at home, they were online, they were researching and saying, wait a minute, and questioning, can I do this better? Can I do this differently? What else is out there for me to help my family? And so I do think there's a real desire, real thirst.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
I think it's very inspiring. And I congratulate you and I wish you absolutely the best continued success, and may it continue beyond your wildest imaginations.
Thank you.
This has been a pleasure. Yeah, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you, Atik.
Oh, thank you so much. If people want to know more about Homeopathy Haven, how do they connect? How do they hook up as such, on socials and websites?
Yeah, our website is homeopathyhaven.com. And then we are on Instagram and Facebook at Homeopathy Haven. So it's real easy, just 2 words, Homeopathy Haven. And if they go to our website, they'll get a pop-up, subscribing to our newsletter. We send it out about 2 times a month. And that just kind of gives them the latest happenings. And then they can see all of in our shop, they can see all of the courses that we offer and the membership and working with us, etc.
I think it's wonderful. Honestly, I'm so happy that you came on. It's a big honor for me. So thank you so very much for coming on and sharing such wonderful insights and experiences.
Yeah, thank you. We're honored.
Yeah, we're honored to be here. We love what you've been doing. We love the conversations. Both of us have been, listening to your podcasts, and we love that you're expanding the conversation.
Yes.
Well, there's much more to come. I've got a few surprises up my sleeve for this year. So, I think even I'll be surprised myself.
Awesome.
We look forward to it.
Yeah.
Well, I will talk to you very, very soon. But in the meantime, again, best wishes with everything that you're doing. And I think it's just going to be an incredible year for Homeopathy Haven.
Thank you.
Thank you, Atik.
Yeah.
I do hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of the Homeopathy Health Show. Please do support the show by clicking follow on my socials. Remember, the more exposure the podcast receives, the better for homeopathy around the world. You can find me on Instagram by searching for @like_treatslike, and on both Facebook and TikTok by searching for @like_treatslike. So let's promote the voice of homeopathy on radio and podcast around the world together. Don't forget to visit me online at www.liketreatslike.co.uk and click on the radio and podcast tab. Here you'll be able to see all the guests that have joined me on the show so far, and of course you can stream on demand the latest episode to your mobile, tablet or PC. Until next time, stay safe and take care.